turn it into a cylinder so you don't have any more corners flapping around. And the next thing you want to do is create that top element, which is on the center line of the lathe. And the base happens at the end. Seeing how my fixture allows me to go back to each point I'm turning, I don't have to do that base yet because I don't quite know where it's going to be. It's the tool that I'm using is a spindle gouge with a 30-degree angled bevel. Turn it into a cylinder so you don't have any more corners flapping around. And the next thing you want to do is create that top element, which is on the center line of the lathe. And the base happens at the end. Seeing how my fixture allows me to go back to each point I'm turning, I don't have to do that base yet because I don't quite know where it's going to be. It's the tool that I'm using is a spindle gouge with a 30-degree angled bevel. You're over here.
Pull the microphone away from your mouth a little bit, Marty. You're really getting your breath in there.
How's that?
Much better. Until now.
And being that the fixture is made out of wood, it doesn't hurt if I hit it. And you need to come in from two sides. You saw how that started to shatter. Now, this is poplar. I needed it to be poplar for being light color. I already had made out blanks and walnut. I said, that's going to be hard to see stuff. Now, I got a catch I'm going to have to clean up. But what I wanted to show you is this tool, it gets down so far and the top flute is in danger of starting to touch. And that's when I had to convert to another tool. But I'm going to clean up this top first. Now, the next tool I made up special for this situation. It's actually a parting tool that I did an extra grind right here on both sides of it, taking away the parting tool action of the square cut that you normally would have with it. This allows me to get into a deep V. And it's also, I can use it as a negative rake scraper. And that's probably as small as I dare go in that diameter. I try to make it look like the top is sort of teetering on top of another round object, that are not really connected. Oh, let me get to the dark spot. And I grind these side surfaces. Boy, it's rough looking at a camera. I keep sharpening these by grinding them square, and then I grind this angle till I get a point that's relatively in the middle. And when I'm using it, yeah, you can see this. I tilt it, which then creates a negative rake scraper on both sides. So it has to come from both ways. And as I go towards the bottom, where the small point is, I slowly rotate it so that the blade is vertical, and I shove it a little bit, and that knife edge creates the little crease. It's nice to get a nice sharp crease in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to move on to one of my offsets. And I just realized I don't have a pencil mark there. I took it away. If you see your pencil marks gone, you've got to recreate it. So that you know, yeah, the light, yeah, you can just sort of see I put a mark on the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that lines up with the line that I have indicated on the fixture. And it really doesn't need to be numbered, because you can always figure out by putting on the machine how it's wobbling around. But I just like to have numbers to sort of keep track of where I'm going. Uh-oh. Disaster struck. I got that a little too thin down there. Let's see if it stays together. I'm not so sure crazy glue is going to do it. Now you got to be careful that it's going to miss your, which one? This? I always like to get them thin, but they are fragile. All right, let's see what we can get it to happen and not fall apart. It's not there. You need to raise it up a little bit so that you can start low, and as you get closer in, you end up raising the handle. And I use this bevel as my warning that I'm on the wood, and then I slowly rotate the flute down to start the cut. And part of what I'm trying to accomplish is have this top piece be pretty close to the edge of the next element. Okay, at that point, I can go on to the next piece, next offset. You need to stop quite often to see where you're actually hitting on the form. Somewhere around 900. I don't like to go real quick. Things tend to shatter more quickly that way. Actually, it's hard to see it unless you got the black background. There's a little more material in here that should come out of here, which means I'm going to take some more off of the first element. But I have to move the black piece out further because where I'm viewing from, I have to be able to see it out there. Actually, going slower, it gives you more opportunity to adjust the angle of the flute cutting the material, because I'm constantly evaluating how the cut is and twisting my hand slightly, and it's very slight changes that makes the difference. Wow. Yeah, we're just a little bit more. On the flat has to come off there. I want a sharp edge going around. I may have to reduce the bottom of this first element.
There we go.
Once you get a catch, you got to scrape it away because it keeps going down the same old track. All right, I'm going to go back to that first element. And see if I can reduce the size of it at the base. Yeah, I think that's gonna help it. Whoop, that's the stop button. Nope, we got a bump there. I'm gonna try to get that crease without getting it too small again. Okay.
Do you sand each element before you move on?
I used to, but now that I'm using this fixture, I was able to go back to that first element and reshape it. Before, when I did it, I was holding it on one end, and they couldn't be this long because it would whip too much. And when you got done shaping the element, you had to sand it because you could never go back to it. With this system, I can go back to it. So I'm not worrying about sanding it till the very end. All right, we got to dress this up a little bit on number 2. You also want to try to have the end of the element you're working on have a fairly clean surface because it may end up being the top of the next element you're going to turn. We probably should take that off a little bit. All right, still got to go around. So now we're back on center, the spindle center. That's when we do the base part. Keep going for the button that's there. I keep going for a stop button on my machine. It's down there. No. Leave it where it is. We're good. I just had to get my brain realigned. So when you do the base, you're going to have a little bit of the third element here still on it. You don't want to totally disappear that. So sanding, I slow it down. And I can go back to the top because it's on the same center. And I quite often take my sandpaper and get it down to one thickness. And I hold it by the bottom edge that's going to go into the crease so that I can get down into the crease for sanding. Now, I probably don't have my index mark anymore. So you want to be careful you don't let your fixture move. But if you're not using a fixture, you already have dimples to go to set up your positions. And usually there's enough control and finish when you're shaping it that you don't require a lot of sanding. However, I had a number of catches and I think they're probably giving me some grief here. And I find it really useful to have gloves on because sometimes these elements have real sharp edges and the wood will slice you as much as the tool will. I found that out a few times. It's a good, nice having that early warning when your glove touches. I know they don't like us wearing gloves when turning, but my hands don't like the vibration and they don't like getting nicked by a sharp edge going by. But anyway, I'm showing you, you can actually go back with this setup and sand and even go back and reshape. I made a set of a pair of candlesticks. I had them sitting on the shelf and I kept looking at them and I said, you know, that form needs help. And I was able to go back and find my index mark and reshape it. So nothing's permanent in this until you say you've had enough. Anyway, I'm not going to keep sanding because that's not exciting. The next thing I wanted to show you has nothing to do with turning. To make this into a candlestick, like right now, wow, it really does burn out. There's a hole in there for a candle. And when the candle burns down and you're not watching it, you can suddenly have a fire. So I made up a fixture. Oh, that doesn't show there. Let's try it over here. There you go. And I take 3/4 inch copper pipe, cut it off at 1 inch lengths. And then I take the copper and I flare it. And that's because I've got the steel cone. And I put this in a vise like this and close the vise and compress it till I get the flare that I want. And then I put it back on the lathe, I think it's a number 1 step jaw, and you can get inside this and hold it. Be real careful. When you use a pipe cutting tool, you get a nice sharp burr that's really slice you. So when it's in the lathe, I go in there with a fine file and I file away the sharp edge out here. And I have a scraping tool. I take the burr out of it. And then I take some fine sandpaper and sand it. And the last step is 4-0 steel wool to polish it up. Yeah, my hole's a little bit tight today. And the Forstner bit, you can't change the size. So in that case, I would try to sand it, but I did get it in there. That way, your candle can come down and it'll be a melted pool down there, but it's not going to burn the wood. The copper is going to take away the heat. So that's it. I'm going to show it from that way probably.
Hey, Marty, from
Yeah.
this view, can you put the fixture back in and take it out again so we can see it as it goes into the
What do you
piece?
want to take apart?
The fixture that you have that plugs into the candle hole, I guess, to do
The fixture?
yeah,
You're talking about the turning fixture?
yes. Can you
All right.
plug that in on camera so we can see it a little better? And this camera view is good for it. Just hold it up a little bit so we can see it.
I can't tell where I'm aiming. There we go. Can you zoom that in?
Up a little higher if you would. Yeah, now
Wow.
it's really high.
Yeah.
And turn it sideways and kind of pull it off. Whoops.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Things are moving. Okay, leave it right there. All
Yeah.
right. And that's how it looks from the side. And this little step shoulder, let me get that over here, is exactly fit snugly into the 7, well, it's not 7, yeah, 7/8 diameter hole I drilled in the wood piece. That allowed me to have the 3 positions. And if you look at the fixture, it has all those nice little round circles that I don't want to have to take out of the candlestick if I did it right directly on the wood. And that ring of offsets, they're about 3/8 of an inch off from the center. And that ring you see there drawn, that's about the size of the 7/8 hole you would be drilling. So you'd still have some stuff left you have to deal with. And like I had a little problem getting too narrow on this one. I'm afraid if you push on there with a Forstner bit, you're liable to break it off. So that's why I went to drilling the hole first, making a fixture for turning, and making a snug fit that it goes into the candlestick. And I didn't have a clean surface up there when I'm done. When I was turning this, I don't think I get the copper out because that would have been pretty tight. When I was turning this, I was able to take my gouge and go right up to the fixture and let it touch, and it didn't hurt it. And I was able to get a good clean surface on the candlestick.
Excellent. Thank you. One other request, the tool that you modified to get those inside cuts, can you explain a little more about that to us? Show it to us again.
Yeah, let me get a background. It's a little. Yeah, I got to go up in the air. I got to move over. Okay. This is one of those $10 tools you get from Penn State Industries in the bin. It was a parting tool. And that's the shape of the parting tool. only it wouldn't have that blunted end you see. That blunted end is the result of my grinding away the parting tool action into a knife point. So now it slices. So when I'm going down the curve, I'm using the tool slightly tilted, and it's basically a negative rate scraper. And when I get very near the bottom, I then stand it up and let the knife do the little slice in the bottom to get that sharp, crisp look in there. It's an inexpensive tool, but you modify it to do your situation, and it works very well.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm really lucky we didn't blow apart thanks to Phil's glue. Yes. Now, because I was worried because that first one, I started to give when I was pushing the ram out. I went, uh-oh, it wasn't supposed to move. Now, I've been working with hardwood, and I'm afraid I forgot the poplar is a softer wood and isn't as strong, and it's going to do funny things like that. So I should have left that B a little bit bigger in diameter, but it works. Uh-oh. It just randomly does it.
Yeah, it has. I have absolutely no idea why it's doing it. Next time I'm at Phil's shop, I'll try to take a look at it. Sorry about that. Hard to tell.
Good. Thanks, everybody. Enjoyed it.